So here's the next project. The idea is that I am working my way through every single project that was just sitting around halfway done or unfinished or broken or not started. And what happened here was this is a replica of my piggy bank. And the legs came off, the ears came off, the tail came off, everything came off. I think that's when everything was in storage and got hot. I love the paint job, so I just want to fix the parts that are messed up. I'll show you what the inspiration was, my own piggy bank. And my piggy bank has a thing on the bottom, an opening, and a slot on the top for the coins. And says it was made in Italy. I think my aunt must have brought this to me from Italy. And I think there were two of them. There was this one and a pink one that maybe my mother has. I'm not sure. So that was my inspiration. And I think I did okay with that part. And it's going to be a little bit tough to match up, but I can do it. I didn't know that piggy bank, I don't know what you call these things, stoppers, were available, but they are. And so I had no way to get the change out of here, so I simply put a cork on the front and painted a little, oops, let me put that back on right, painted a little bit of a nose on it. It's just a, just a basic gourd that was a little bit squarish, like the shape of my piggy bank. And I didn't want anybody to have to break it to get the money out, so in lieu of a plug, I used that kind of a plug. So I think what I'm going to do first is I want to drill a hole here and here and in each of these 4 spots, because I want whatever I put on as a leg to be really, really firmly affixed, and that would be one way to do it. Not just to glue it to the surface, but actually have a rod that goes up and a rod that goes down, kind of like the way they do teeth now, right? They have a post that goes into your jaw and then the tooth is on a post. Yeah, sort of like that. It's not a really nice way to describe it, is it? So that is the beginning of the project. I'm going to get out my drill. First things first. I love this drill. Every time I teach a class, everyone wants to know where I got this drill. It's a little Ryobi Tech 4. And the cool thing about it is it has a light. The other cool thing about it is that it's a quick connect. You pull it out a little bit and it just captures the bits. And these are the bits that have like a bit of a, I don't know what you would call this part there. What is that? Just the shaft. So it's got that. So this is first drilling into him. Now whatever I make can go right at that spot. I think the next thing is going to be to take a knife, and it looks like there's some type of glue that's here, and I'm going to see if I can just get that glue off of there. And that might also help whatever I put here for legs, help them adhere. It's coming off quite easily. And it looks like this one had already came off. Okay, so glue's off on all 4 of those. And I'll tell you, one of the hardest things to make is ears for any animal. I can do beaks, I can do noses, I can do claws, but man, try and make a cat's ears. But luckily, I have the example right here, and I'm just going to try and replicate these ears exactly. So when you wonder, where do I get my ideas for my gourds? Sometimes it's from the strangest place. Okay, I'm going to... I think I'm going to make, it's going to take a lot of quikwood. It really is. I might need to do some sort of a form and then put quikwood on the form, like maybe a cardboard form or a wooden form. I think that would be the smartest thing to do. Put a form in each of these places and then go from there. Because to build the entire feet out of quikwood, that's going to be a lot of quikwood. So Okay, I grabbed these from the kitchen, and these are some skewers that I had gotten for shish kebab. However, they're a little bit short, and I'm always just a little bit too irritated to thread that many vegetables or chicken or something. I like to do, as long as I'm doing a really long shish kebab. The other thing I found was that I have some of these chopsticks, some of the ones that are given to you when you get takeout, and they are already cut up, but I would need to cut them a little bit further down. I also have dowel. That could work, except not for the ears. It could work for the feet, except I don't know if I have enough to make. I can make 4, but I would have to drill into the dowel and insert a bit of this stick into the dowel and into there, and put the dowel there, and then still build it up. If I could find a bigger dowel, I could do that exact thing, and not go through the step of adding the quikwood. Ooh, okay, what I found. I found a large dowel. Okay, it's not big enough to totally cover that, but I think it could be proportionate, and I think I could add some quikwood around it, because I need to kind of hoof out at the bottom. These aren't just straight. These kind of go out with a little bit of the foot. So I think first I need to sand so that I can, oh yeah, because look at this is flaking off. I need to sand here because whatever glue I used kind of got onto the paint and it's making things flake off. So I need to sand there and then attach these and then paint. And I hope that this paint, I'm hoping this hasn't been in the sun much because the paint would have yellowed a little bit. And when I paint new white over it, the new white would look whiter than white. And if that's the case, I would have to repaint the whole thing. And I don't want to repaint the whole thing because I really, when I did this design, it was very free-handed. And I just am so thrilled that it came out looking so much like the original. For the ears, I think for the ears, the best thing to do is going to be to use the chopsticks as a beginning form and then form quikwood around them. I mean, there's just no getting away with that shape, and it'd be way too much carving here, so I'm better luck with that. And for the tail, I need to find, I don't know, maybe a piece of wire and, you know, wrap it around a pencil so it's got a little squiggly tail. And the tail on this one, because it's pottery, was, you know, they couldn't do a squiggly tail. It would be not as strong. But yeah, I think this is going to work out just fine. I'm going to try and proportionally do the feet and mark them and go outside and cut this and cut these, and then I'll be right back for the next step. Alright, so I headed outside and I used my little Black & Decker lithium saw, which also has a light. Yay. And I cut 4 lengths of dowel from the dowel, and I'm wondering if this was a curtain dowel that I shouldn't have cut. I'm not sure, but I did cut it. And then I thought about something, and I thought, wait a minute. There's already something that's the right size. I thought about it and I thought, wait a minute. There's already something that's almost the perfect size for pig's feet in this house. I can't believe I didn't think of this. Corks. And corks is not plastic. It's a natural material, so it doesn't violate any, you know, any kind of judging rules or guidelines or anything like that. So I think this would be great. And I think though that when I look at the proportions on this piggy and I look at the proportions on this, that it almost looks like this is just a little tiny bit too tall. Like this very purposely has very stubby, way shorter than normal feet. I could always do a proportion, you know, 4 feet is to 4 inches is to 8 inches is this is to that, and see if the proportions are about the same. Okay, nose to tail 6 inches, nose to tail 10 inches. Alright, so 6 is to 10 as, those are 1. Okay. That means to keep the same proportions, was that really 6 inches? Really was 6 inches. It really was 10 inches. Okay, 6 is to 10 as 1 is to, and you thought you were never going to do any of this math again. 6 is to 10 as 1 is to what? Okay, 1 times 10 is 10. 10 divided by 6 is 1.66. Should I have known that? A little bit more than a half. Okay, so to be proportionate, these should be 1.66. They're 1.7. That is close enough. Close enough. We're going to go with this. It'll be proportionate. And then I'll just use some quikwood to kind of build them out at the bottom and build them out at the top. And this is going to work. Okay, so the first thing I've got to do is sand and paint, and then glue these in like this, and then skewer these and glue them in. And this will just keep, definitely these feet are going to stay attached. And then I'll also glue them on the bottom. But first I've got to sand. Okay, sanding is going to be kind of boring. I'm going to let you go while I do the sanding. And then I'll bring you back for the implants for the legs, and then we'll figure out what to do here, because then it'll stand up nicely. So I'll see you in a minute after I do a little bit of sanding. Okay, so here's where I am. I did just a little bit of gentle sanding here and here to smooth those out. I didn't sand any on the tail. I don't think I need to. And I sanded down here. And it looks like I applied this paint fairly thick. And it seems like it was kind of a gloppy paint. And I might even still have it. And in that case, it's going to be pretty easy to repair. And I was thinking about, once I put the feet on, I might actually cut a tiny little bit off the top, well, so that they don't have a gap. I could just do that with quikwood. I could just do that part with quikwood. And if I build this and it just looks kind of funny, like it's too tall, because it's cork, I can always cut a little bit off the bottoms before I make the hoof part at the bottom with the quikwood. So that's where I am now. Next is going to be to do some assembling. So let me get my act together and then we'll go through that part. Okay, real quick, I got carried away and I forgot that I was supposed to show you this. So what I did was I took the little kebab sticks and shaved them down a little bit. I drilled a hole at the end of each one of these, and I stuck the kebab stick into the cork and added a little bit of hot glue to it, and then I put some hot glue at the end of the cork and stuck the whole thing on there. And so now I've got 4 little quirky piggy porky feet. That's where I am now. Yesterday, when I was working on the piggy, oh, why can't I get this to look right? Okay, so yesterday when I was working on the piggy, I got so excited about how well the feet were going that I rushed right on through them without showing you how I did it. So I'm going to slow down, and on one of the ears I'm just going to show you how I did the feet. Okay, so I took a cork and I drilled a hole in the end, and then I took some of these shish kebab skewers and I cut them up into shorter bits. And then what I did was, just to make sure it's really going to stay, I put a little bit of hot glue on this end of the skewer and stuck them into the cork like that. So I've got a cork with a little bit of skewer sticking out. Okay, then what I did is, because a little bit of the glue came out around here, I just took a knife and cleaned it off. And then I took the knife and I kind of bit down into this part of the cork and just kind of made a little bit of a well right there so that some glue could lie in there. Then what I did was I filled that well with glue and then came over to the pig, stuck it in, and then really twisted a little bit to make sure it was stuck down, and then any glue around the edge I just wiped off with my finger. So yeah, now he looks like a Frankenpig. But that is how I did the 4 feet on the bottom, and it went so smoothly and so perfectly that I was so excited I just kept going. And then I realized, drat, I forgot to show everybody how I did it. Now, as I put the feet down, they were a little bit wobbly. So I had to take my knife and shave a little bit off of the one that was making it wobble. And next, the feet don't really touch down. Like the pig that is my example, the feet touch down and the hooves kind of spread out like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use quikwood, and I'll make kind of like a hoof for each one so it doesn't look like I've stuck wine corks on here. And when I set it down, it will help level it out, but I'll hold it up and I'll wait until the quikwood gets almost to that point where it's getting kind of firm and it kind of can hold, and then I'll go like this and make sure that it's level and that all the feet make contact with the surface. I'm working here on a light table. The outer part is wood, but the inner part is glass, and it is so handy because all I do is I vacuum up with that little vacuum, and then I take a razor blade and I just clean off. So if what you could do to mimic this, if you don't need a light table, you don't need light shining through, whatever your workspace is, just find a piece of glass and put it on top of your workspace, and it makes it so easy because every time I paint, it doesn't matter if I get splatters everywhere. I just take a razor blade and clean it up. So anyway, I am now going to kind of do the opposite of the process because I need to put pegs here that stick up that I can put the quikwood ears on. Or what I could do is I can build the ears around a peg and then apply them, but then I'm not sure if they're lying flat against the surface. I think I'm going to have to put the pegs there first, like this, and then build the quikwood ear around it. I think that's how that's going to have to go. It's probably the only way it's going to be possible. So I need to make sure I've got not too tall of a peg in there. And that's just what I'm doing with this, is it's just rather than just sticking something to the surface, I've got it affixed on both ends a little bit more securely, and they won't come off. And I'm probably going to put a little bit of, I might put a little bit of quikwood around here. What I might do first is paint it, see how it looks, see if I've got a good seal all the way around, and then if I don't, fill in a little bit with quikwood and paint again. Because you know how you don't want a big gap there like it looks like I stuck the feet on. So that's where we are now with the piggy. And then I have to think about what I want to use for a cute little tail. Maybe copper or something. But then I'll have to paint it white. We'll see. I'm getting there. Now I've got to think about these ears. Alright, I'm going to try and get a start on this piggy this morning. Alright, first I'm going to put the studs in the ears. And I need to see about how far down to put them. And I'm matching it up with my example piggy. I think I need to leave at least as much out as they have. Okay. And this will be okay if there's a bunch of glue at the base because it's going to be filled in with quikwood anyway. So I'm just going to pull it out a little bit and push it in back a little bit so that I know for sure that there's some glue underneath and some glue above, kind of like that. And I'm putting a pretty good lump. Putting a lump like that because I definitely want it in there. So in a little bit, and then back out a little bit, and in a little bit. That way it can work some of the glue into the hole. And these strings that you get, if you'll just kind of pass by it with a heat gun, you can take care of that. This one's a little bit longer, but I can snip the end of it off so that it will be about equal. Okay, now I need to mix up a pretty good amount of quikwood. You can buy the quikwood on Amazon, but the best price deal is if you buy it from Leah at Blue Whale. I'll leave a link to both of them below. Take rings off. Working with quikwood, you don't really want your rings on, because if you get a little bit of quikwood on them, you would have to sand it off, and usually the metal on your rings is less stone-like. It'll be on there forever. Let's put it that way. Okay, poor little piggy without ears. You look so sad. Okay, this is going to take a pretty good amount of quikwood. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with, I think it's going to take about 1 inch for each ear. And that's about as much as I feel like mixing at a time. So about 1 inch. And my technique with this is I roll it into a log and then I double it over. And then I roll it into a longer one and third it over. And at this point, it's still very mottled, not mixed. And this is like a 2-part epoxy. So let's see if you can see. I've still got 2 colors there. It takes a lot of mixing. But if you keep rolling it out and then just keep bending it over, it mixes a lot faster. So you make it into a log, and then roll it up into a ball, and then a log. And after years of doing this, this is, I think, the fastest way to get it done. Oh, I can't wait to get some paint on here and see how the feet look. Oh, I need to do the feet too. I've got to do quikwood on the feet. Okay, now this piece is super, super soft, so I'm going to set it down. And I'm going to mix the other piece. And that way, by the time I'm ready, I think that first piece will be a little bit harder. Sometimes when the quikwood is really, really fresh, it's difficult to work because it's so soft. So I'm going to let it sit there and rest and get a little bit harder. Or maybe I'm just procrastinating because I'm scared to make the feet and the ears. And the only reason I didn't do the whole amount that I wanted was because sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable to work with huge amounts of quikwood. I swear it feels like, nope, they're about the same. Okay, I hope I have enough. All right, so they're kind of pointed at this end, and they're kind of pointed at this end, and they're a little bit hollowed out there. Oh. I don't know if I can make them as cute as the originals. And it's going to be a little bit thinner. I've got the ability to go a little bit thinner than they did with that. I'm always worried that I've got fingerprints in my quikwood. If anybody ever needs to find me, they'll be able to find me because my fingerprints are all over it. I still haven't been able to find my extender, or I'd show you what that looks like, and I'd be able to extend the time before this dries. that's not so bad. I don't think it's quite as cute as the one that's on my pig, but it's not so bad. Okay, a little bit pointy at this end. Stick it on there. And theirs, they kind of only have a contact point toward the bottom, and I can take one of these skewers and mimic that in just a moment. I'm just trying not to get fingernail marks in there. If I'm smart, I will completely cover where the old ears were so that there's no paint gaps. I think it needs to be a little bit more pointy. Oh, these are kind of cute. Kind of. I tell you what, pig's ears are easier. Cat's ears are the hardest. If you've ever done cat's ears, oh my gosh, they are so difficult to get the right shape. I have to look at so many pictures to figure out what they should look like. In this case, I'm not having to look at any pictures. I'm just mimicking my example piece. That one's so much cuter than this one. Sweet! You want the back side to be cute too. And you can always sand it if it doesn't end up, you know, if you end up with a little bump somewhere, just sand it. It doesn't have to be absolutely, absolutely perfect, but you want it pretty well shaped. Like this ear is a little bit bigger than that ear. It's getting sticky. Just kind of tapping at the bottom to get it to sort of have a decent looking edge down there. Like I said, I can always sand it, but I still need the general shape. I'm always thinking I have to get quikwood absolutely perfect, but you know what? If the back side of the ears isn't as smooth as I want it, I can sand it a little bit. Oh, I'm pleased. I'm pleased. They should be bigger. I'm going to squeeze them out a little bit, make them a little bit bigger. I think proportionately they need to be, because this pig is almost twice the size of that pig. These ears need to be at least a third bigger. And I've got plenty of material here to do it with. Glad I've got those sticks in there. That's helping hold these up, and it will make sure that everything stays adhered. Okay, that's a little bit larger. That looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, I see that bump right there. I'm using, this is the Avon silicone glove. A lot of people swear by this. I found you can also use other petroleum. I have another Assured Cream Petroleum Jelly. It's not the clear petroleum jelly like comes in the big tub. It's also white, but it just works. Just puts a little coating on your hands so that this doesn't stick. I don't want to overwork them. I can feel the tension of the stick in there, that it's definitely in there. And a lot of times something like this, if it kept collapsing on me, what I'd have to do is hold it like this while it dries a little bit, and that way the ends wouldn't curl over. And sometimes you have to prop it up, you know, put a plastic container or a mug or something like that, and just let your pieces sit, because this quikwood it's kind of alive for a while. But in this case, because I've got the sticks in there, I'm not having any trouble with the ears flopping over. and they're not exactly perfect, but I can sand them because the ones here on this piggy are very, very smooth. And the back side of them is very smooth, but I can sand these if there are any spots. Like I see one little spot there where it looks like my fingernail nicked it. I might be able to work that out. And make sure that they're tilted at about the same angle. I'm making sure that they're kind of about the same, going the same direction here. Checking to see if they're the same angle here, same angle here. From the side, and it would be okay if one flopped down. I mean, that would be kind of cute if it had one floppy ear, but in this case, since I'm going with my original, I don't need a floppy ear. So now, while those set, I'm thinking about how much quikwood it's going to take to do the bottom. I used about 1 inch on this ear and 1 inch on this ear, and I'm thinking like my last inch or so is probably enough to do a little bit. I just want to build out the bottom and make a little bit more hoof and have it to where I can set it and they go to the bottom. The other thing I could do is I could sand so that all of them are flat, and that would save myself a little bit more quikwood. I might do that first. It's just kind of notice where they're touching and sand them down a little bit, so that they're flat this way instead of flat to the cork. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to need to do, is just sand it a little bit, and then I can put the base of the hoof where it kind of comes out. And the way they painted these is they just kind of indicated a cloven hoof. They didn't actually make a cloven hoof on it. It's just round, but it's a little bit wider at the bottom, a little bit splayed out. And I need to replicate that on this one. But I can't really turn it upside down and set it there and work on it till the ears are pretty firm. They're a little bit warm. If you ever find that they're not getting a little bit warm, or if you see at this point, if you see any marbling, then there's a good chance that it's not going to set. And if it's not going to set, you might as well pull them off and start over again, get it mixed up really, really well. Every once in a while it just doesn't mix really well, and sometimes you have to watch out at the very end if you haven't sealed these up. Once I open them up, I really seal them up. I use the plastic over both ends of it. But if you have to, you just take your razor blade and cut off a little bit of that hard part, because it won't ever really, it's never really going to seal correctly. It's never going to kick and do the right thing. I think I'm not going to have time right now to do the feet, because I really want these to dry, and then I want to sand them a little bit. So I think I'm just going to clean up a little bit and admire these ears. I can still, if I change my mind about something, I can still mold them. They're still a little bit soft. I've got fingerprints on them. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to sand them off. Usually I'm so worried about my fingerprints, about how it's going to look on things, but I can sand them. Okay, now that they're harder, I'm doing just a couple tweaks just to make sure that the inset is the same, that one ear is not really shallow and the other ear really deep. Now that they're harder, it's time to do that. I'm double checking, and that just works good, putting in a peg and building around it. If you were trying to save on the amount of quikwood that you use, I could have used a much larger peg. Another thing sometimes people do is, besides using something like cork for form and then working around it, rather than using that much quikwood, some people will ball up some aluminum foil or ball up some paper and then work around that. And in that case, you might have to ball up your paper and then put a layer around it and then actually do your modeling on the next layer. just the quikwood costs. These are, if you're buying them on Amazon, they're $10 or $12, and if you're buying them from Leah at Blue Whale Arts, they're about half that, but still, it's expensive. So there you have it. My battery's about to die, so I'm going to let you go. We're not going to sit here and watch these things dry. But in a moment, I'm going to sand them, and then, yeah. Oh, they're getting harder. It's going to be good. I'll be able to sand them a little bit and then paint them, and then I can start working on the feet. So I'll see you after the battery change. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Next one coming up, I think, is the giant octopus. Then after that, I've got a video about my favorite pair of pants that are going to be turned into a gourd that's coming up. And isn't this fun? Doesn't this make you want to make a piggy bank? Woo, woo, woo. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe and share with your friends if they're gourders, and use any of the links below to buy products. It helps me out by giving me a tiny little percentage of your purchase. It doesn't raise the cost to you at all, but it just gives me a little tiny bit of income as a reward for making the videos for you and doing the tutorials and whatnot. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Don't forget to watch part 2.